Hello, welcome to the video. I hope you're well. Today we're talking about the top 5 Premier League managers in Premier League history. Now then, it's a controversial topic, but I'm talking about it in a weird way as well. So, Jose Mourinho, I'm doing this purely off Premier League. So, I think we can all agree what Jose Mourinho did at Inter, Real Madrid and Porto was brilliant, but we're only basing this off their legacies in the Premier League and what they did for the game and everything like that, and what they achieved in the Prem and whatnot. So that's how I'm looking at it. That's what I mean when I say Premier League managers. I'm getting that up in the air now so that you all understand. So when I say something potentially outrageous, you can't go at me, alright? Because I've laid it flat out on the table. No one can misunderstand now. So, Jose Mourinho, I put him 5th, and you might be thinking he's got to be a bit higher than that, surely, maybe top 3. Okay, but my reason for saying no is because the Chelsea stuff is really what carries him, if I'm being honest, because I think Tottenham and Man United do pull him down a bit, and how it all finished at Chelsea. Now then, if we have a look at trophies for Jose, at Chelsea alone he had 2 Premier Leagues, 3 League Cups, 1 FA Cup and 1 Community Shield. So pretty decent legacy in the Premier League and all that in terms of picking up your trophies. And if we look at United, 1 Europa League, 1 League Cup, 1 Community Shield, and at Tottenham, let's be honest here, we're not surprised. It seems to be the reputation of anyone that goes to Tottenham. But nonetheless, that is his record in terms of trophies. That is what a manager looks for in football, trophies and results. And to be fair to Jose, he's got quite a few trophies under his belt. So, I would like to point out the achievement he got at Chelsea. I think this is a brilliant achievement, and I actually don't think it'll ever be topped either. 15 goals conceded in a Premier League season is crazy. That's just wild, I mean that in every sense of the word. I don't think anyone will ever overcome that. That's outrageous to only concede 15 in a Premier League season. A part of me wishes I got to watch that, because I wouldn't have even been born. I wish I got to watch some of that live. But then a part of me doesn't, because I would have been a City fan back then, because my dad's been a City fan since he was a kid, and I still would have been raised to be a City fan. So a part of me probably wishes I didn't either, but still, you can only give Jose Mourinho the praise there, because unbelievable achievement to only concede 15 in a season, so I'm not going to take anything away from them there. But what pulls them down for me is the record at United, and it is the record at Tottenham. Now then, you look at United and you probably look at that and you go, that's not too bad for, 2.5 seasons, maybe a little less. That's not the worst. And to be fair, I'm not going to say you're wrong. I don't think that's the worst, but it's definitely not the best. And I think if you asked Jose Mourinho, are you happy with what you won at United? Maybe he'd tell you yes, but I think deep down he's not. I think he rates himself higher than that. He hasn't called himself the special one for nothing, But he got United 2nd, which was a great achievement. He says that is his greatest ever achievement, getting United 2nd, with that set of players and all that. So interesting from the special one, as he calls himself and has been called. But yeah, I think at Tottenham it's a little unfair. I think he got screwed over, to be honest, at the end. Getting sacked right before a final just because he spoke out about the whole Super League stuff. It's kind of crazy, but here we are, hey ho. On to win rate and win percentage. I'm not basing this all on that, by the way, but 550 games, 333 wins, 113 draws, and 104 losses, and bringing him to a 60.55% win rate. So not too bad. 60% is not bad at all. 550 games as well. I'm not going to knock it. It's a decent record, to be fair to him. You know, he got a lot of those at Chelsea, I'm pretty sure. I think he got like 250 of them at Chelsea alone. Maybe a little less. Don't quote me on it. It is probably a bit less, but yeah. He got a lot of those at Chelsea because that's where that's where partly his prime was. He got a lot of those games at Chelsea as well. But moving on to 4th place, maybe this is a little low. Maybe it's a tad bit too high for some people. But look, I'm going to put some respect on this man's name. I think he's a great manager, and the Premier League will miss him after this season. It is Jurgen Klopp. You know, arguably Liverpool's greatest manager. I'm not going to say he is for sure because I really can't remember many Liverpool manager names. You know, I know Brendan Rodgers was there, but I don't think he was the greatest by a long, long way. But anyway, Jurgen Klopp. Again, he's got a good record with Liverpool. He's won it all with them. Won Champions League, won Club World Cup. So, quite surprising about Jose. No Champions League there too. I did forget to mention that. That does pull him down a tad bit too. You know, you might say that's unfair. But I feel like whenever managers have done that and have won European silverware in the Premier League, I know he has done it at Porto and Inter, I'm pretty sure. So I know he has done it, but I just feel like in this list, you know, I think having a Champions League or two might boost you. But yeah, Champions League, Club World Cup, Premier League, Super Cup, FA Cup, 2 League Cups, 1 Community Shield. You know, he's done that very well, competing with City throughout all these years and still managing to win it all. It's very good, and fair play to him. You know, look, people use it almost as a criticism to Pep with him spending all the money he does. I don't, because do you want Pep to be handed this money and go, no, I'm gonna do it. Thank you for this 200 million you've offered me to spend this summer, but I'm only gonna use 100 because I want to do this the hard and tough earned way. No, he's not. Okay, obviously not. And I'm sure if Klopp got offered that money, he would do the same. So, but I do respect that Klopp was working with a difficult checkbook because Liverpool, you know, couldn't/wouldn't offer him those kind of funds. They had to make difficult choices, selling to buy. You know, Coutinho was a huge one for that. I think they got like over 100 million for him. It's the reason Alisson and Van Dijk came in. So, you know, I do respect that in Klopp, and I think, that's why I've also, by the way, Jose and Klopp, for me, are very close. 3rd place was, when I'm making this list, 3rd place was like nailed on for me. I know who was 3rd. But Jurgen Klopp and Jose, I think you can easily switch them around, very easily. You know, if you said, nah, Klopp above Jose in the comments, I'd go, you know, I disagree with you, but fair enough. You know, it's neck and neck. I wouldn't argue with you over it. And 1st and 2nd, I'll undoubtedly get backlash from one half of the community up there. But yeah, we'll look at it. But Jurgen Klopp 4th, great manager. Premier League will miss him. 477 games, so a bit less than Jose, and so to be fair, it's expected that his win rate will be higher as well. You know, he's gotten a lot of wins under his belt, Klopp, in the time he's done it, and during difficult periods too. Because you got to remember, last season would have taken a knock on that. I know it's not like they finished like 10th like Chelsea did, but you know, there was a time where they were 10th, Liverpool last season. So, no doubt that some of the times where Liverpool been in difficult periods will have knocked that. 62% their win rate is pretty decent, and yeah, you can't knock it. It's pretty good. And I forgot to mention this for Jose, but they have both got it. 2 individual awards in the world's best coach. By the way, I would just like to say, this isn't me saying he hasn't won any other individual awards. This is all Transfer Market gave me. That's where all these stats are based off. So if you're going to go at me for this, please go at Transfer Market. I was going off what they said, and they had the world's best coach award on there, and they had nothing else. So maybe he's won UEFA Manager of the Year or something like that, like Pep did, and all that. But those awards genuinely weren't there. I had no idea why. But he has won 2-time world best coach under Liverpool. But anyway, moving on from Jurgen Klopp onto legendary manager of Arsenal. It is not Mikel Arteta. Maybe he will be, but it is Arsene Wenger. 3 Premier Leagues, 7 FA Cups, 7 Community Shields. No League Cups, which surprised me. I would have thought he at least picked up 1 or 2. Unless that's an error by Transfer Market, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Unless it's an error by me, which I hope it is not. But, Arsene Wenger, an all-time great in the Prem. 1,234 games. Just insane from him. I genuinely can't believe that he's got that many. Although saying that there is a manager on this list who's got even more. But when making this, I could not believe what I saw. But hold on, I'm just making sure I didn't mess up. Nah, I didn't mess up. That's all he's won. He's not won any other English trophies. But yeah, 1,234 games, incredible. And to have a 57% win ratio, you could argue is actually better than Jose Mourinho and Jurgen Klopp's win ratio, because those two have done it in not even half the games Wenger's done it. So fair play to Wenger on here. He's done a cracking job in getting such a good win ratio, But anyway, 715 wins, 267 draws, 252 losses. So he's had a fair few losses and all that, but to be expected in this amount of time. Obviously, his biggest award, the biggest thing in my opinion that points out when I look at this is the Invincibles award of the Premier League season. I said the Premier League season because they weren't invincible in any other competition. Now then, I have given that award some stick on previous streams, and maybe I've mentioned it in a video before now. But in all fairness, the Invincibles is something to be proud of to an extent. My problem is that an Arsenal fan will, they will say, they'll obviously bring it up because no one else has done it, but they will like chant about it, and I get it to an extent, but I don't think it's that good. You can draw throughout an entire season and go invincible and get relegated. Do the team that get relegated get a tiny gold trophy about that big? Fair play, okay, they did it and they won the Premier League with it, but I've got a feeling that when there's like 8 games to go or 4 games to go or whatever, I've got a feeling they were just like, protect that record, we could actually go invincible here. I think it became less about winning and more about the record. I reckon anyway. Again, I wasn't around at that time to see it all go down, so maybe I'm unfair saying that, but fair play to Wenger and his Arsenal team. Obviously managed one of the best, probably the best player in Premier League history, in Thierry Henry, highly regarded as one of the best players, if not the best. And he's got no individual awards either. He's got no, well, maybe he does, but he hasn't got any of those world best coach awards. So unlucky there, Wenger. That maybe would have boosted you, but I'll be honest, I was pretty dead set on who my top 2 were. Now then, I just want to say, You can say whatever in the comments. Honestly, I've braced myself for it. I know what I'm walking into after I make this video and after it goes live. But blinking heck, the amount of stick I'm gonna get from a certain fan base is gonna be wild. If that's me assuming that this video is gonna do really well and people are gonna rant about it. But I have put Alex Ferguson second. You can call me what I want, and that means you know who is first, because who else will it be? Look, Alex Ferguson is an outstanding manager. Again, it's a manager I kind of wish I got to see more of. I would have liked to have seen him with Ronaldo, watching him grow. Okay, this fella's with United since the 80s or something like that. Late 80s and early 2010s. Crazy. Alex Ferguson, and an incredible win rate as well. He got in the same region of Jose. Jose barely has a better win rate than him, and Jose has like almost a third of the games that Ferguson does. So Ferguson is unbelievable in terms of what he achieved. 13 Premier Leagues, 2 Champions Leagues, 1 Club World Cup. Now, that I won't lie, I went on Transfer Market and I saw these. I decided to add them, but I won't lie, I've never heard of them in my life. Euro Papoko de Pokal Sergia. I may have absolutely butchered that. I apologise if I do. Feel free to correct me in the comments. But, he's won one of them, I guess. He's won something no one else has on this list. 5 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 10 Community Shields, 1 Intercontinental Cup. Look, really, really good record in terms of trophies. That last one I'm not too sure on either. Don't really know what that one means. But incredible in terms of trophies. I'm not going to count them because that would take that long. He's an unreal manager, Ferguson, and arguably the best, and I'm going to have to make a strong case to defend Pep after reading all this out, but 1,490 games, 895 wins, 323 draws, and 272 losses. Incredible that he's gotten over 60%, just about, but still. And he's gotten 2-time World's Best Coach award. So, unbelievable from Ferguson, and will always be remembered as one of the greatest managers in Premier League history. Now then, you can get in the comments on this one, and you can say that Ferguson's the best, and I won't really argue with you. My argument is in this video, so you can say what you want in the comments. But the reason I have this man at number 1, Pep Guardiola, isn't because of his incredible win rate of 74%, which blows everyone else out of the park. And it isn't necessarily just because of his treble. And by the way, I forgot to point out for Sir Alex as well, the treble is something big too. But it's also just because about how he's revolutionised the game in modern game, And I know Ferguson probably did that as well under his team, and I'm sure Jose and Wenger also did. And to be fair, Klopp's had an influence on it as well. But I think Pep he hasn't just influenced it, he has changed the game, I think, forever. I'll go through the trophies now, but then I'll get back onto my point with how Pep Guardiola has changed the game forever. 5 Premier Leagues, 1 Champions League, 1 Club World Cup, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, 2 Community Shields, and 458 games, 339 games and wins, 55 draws, 64 losses. Now then, he's the one manager on this list that has more losses for City than he does draws. But now I'll defend Pep on this one. I'm going to defend him. I'm going to be biased, okay? I've tried to be as unbiased as I can on this, but I'm not going to move off my perch. I think really this just means, on this one, I think a couple of these may have been when the league was won. I think I'd like to mention, okay, and you might say, no, it's not. Pep Guardiola goes for every single game, no matter what. last season, Brentford away, I guarantee you we would have won that if the title was on the line. But it wasn't. 2021 season, COVID season, when we won the league, we won that. We basically won that a long way away. Well, let me see. I remember like we were 2-0 up against Brighton, and Brighton weren't all that back then. Brighton were decent, and they were a team that, you know, you go to, but you'd expect to beat them. Nowadays, you expect a difficult game. But Brighton back then, you know, I expected 3 points, and they even went down to 10 men, and they managed to beat us 3-2. But that's because, I think, partly because we're on the beaches. Apologies for my dog, I am really, really sorry. So I do think a couple of those are just from end of the season, doesn't really matter kind of situation. Sorry about that. But end of the season situation, even Champions League group stage, I imagine he's gotten a couple of them. And I'm on about like when it doesn't matter, like when we rotated versus RB Leipzig and lost 2-1. That kind of situation. I imagine that's where, not all of them, okay, but I imagine that's where some of them come through. But another point to defend him on this is that I think it just kind of shows how much he goes for it at the end. Because Pep Guardiola does go for a game at the end. Very rarely he doesn't. But if it's neck and neck and we're going for it at the end, he will go for it. A lot of the time it pays off, but maybe a couple of times it just hasn't worked out. And that, I think, plays a part. But I'm not going to defend a loss anymore. You know, I'm just stating reasons why a couple of those may have happened and why his losses are more than his draws. But his win rate is incredible. He's won almost three quarters of his games. To be fair, he's done it in the least amount of games, but I don't think you can take anything away from him there. He's not like he's done it against bad teams. He has done it against great teams, and I think, you know, if he was at the club for as long as someone like Sir Alex, I'll say it now, I don't think his record would have been... I think Pep Guardiola, if he plays 1,000 matches, I think he wins 700 of them for City. Now then, call me crazy, but I genuinely do. I think he wins 700, or at least, like, I think he would still have the highest win record. And individual awards, according to Transfer Market, he hasn't got any, but I do understand that he's won. And I imagine for others like Jurgen Klopp that they have won other individual awards, but this is all based off Transfer Market. So, but again, I'll try and defend my point on Pep a bit more, since no doubt people won't be happy about it. I'm saying it now. What I'm about to say is, I don't think it can be denied. You will never see someone like Pep do something that he has to John Stones. He is changing the position of a centre-back forever. Because John Stones won't be the first. John Stones will not be the first. And he will not be the last. No, John Stones is the first and he won't be the last, sorry. He is the first to take up this kind of role and do it to such a high level. But he will not be the last. He's already kind of doing it a little bit with Rico Lewis, right back, goes in midfield a lot. And I know an inverted right back isn't as what's the word, magical or whatever. But what he's done to John Stones, you'll see that happen more in the future. Next 5 years, you'll see these kind of players popping around because people will be scouting players that have this kind of profile and can do that. What he's done with John Stones is unbelievable and it's nothing to be sneered at, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does something like it again. People criticise Pep for his overthinking, but no one criticises him when it works. You know, and I don't think he gets... With John Stones, he's gotten a lot of praise because everyone has seen it now in action. It's unavoidable. You saw him in the Champions League final. He had similar dribble stats compared to Lionel Messi. You know, that's just crazy. if the proof is not there, I don't know what will prove it. But that kind of rests on a case. Look, I understand Pep has had significantly less trophies than Sir Alex, and potentially even a couple of other guys on this list. But it's nothing to be sneered at. Pep Guardiola, he is phenomenal, and he will go down as, I think when he retires, and if he does retire at City, he will go down as the best Premier League manager in history, I reckon. And I mean that as common knowledge. Maybe not United fans, because they will defend Sir Alex for their life, and potentially not even Arsenal fans. But for me, I just don't think he'll be able to be denied if he does do what he does at City for say another 20 years, like Ferguson and Wenger did. Thank you all for watching this video. I know I've come out with some wild stuff, but that's why we love football. It's all opinions. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you did like this video nonetheless. If you've got your own opinion, I'm more than glad to hear it. And, if you want to talk about it in the comments, I will respond usually. Unless you're just being a wally. Call up 115 all you want. I've heard it all before. I've seen it all before. And honestly, City fans don't care, because we'll have the last. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye bye.